Welcome back to episode 2, part 2 of B.O.A.T. Talks on Sophia Sojourn with Brie LaJoy, author of Louder Than Words, and it's Weirman. See, I almost got away with Brie LaJoy, and then I was like, no, I gotta go for it. Weirman. Okay, I have 2 more tries. Brie LaJoy Weirman. I'm gonna be saying it in my sleep. That sounded kind of weird, actually, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm a little weird. Okay, so we just finished talking about what led up to you writing the book, your story with that. What I want to really go into from here is you wrote the book, you went through the headache and tediousness of publishing it. What was your vision for that? What was your goal and desire, and how do you hope to see that happen?
Originally, I just needed to get the story out. I just needed to put it on paper, and that really would have been enough for me. It was very therapeutic to put it on paper. And I actually intended to rewrite my story. I was going to tell it the way that I wished it had gone instead of the way that it did go. And when I got to the moment of truth, the moment that in my actual life something awful happened, I decided I couldn't do that. I had really by that time come to grips with the fact that God knows what he's doing, and he uses all of those things that happen to us to make us who we are. And I spent some time really thinking, who would I be if this hadn't happened? And I can't even imagine who that person would be. I don't want that. And so I decided I need to tell the story as it happened.
Okay.
And so I didn't know from one chapter to the next what was coming. It kind of just came out, as I was ready to write it.
Yeah.
Which I think is why it took so long, because at the beginning I wasn't ready to let go of the what ifs.
It's very personal. And you've got to go into that personal journey. Yeah.
Yes. I came across the day that I found out what happened and what caused my depression. I dug out that poem first, the cloud that rains tears, because I knew that that's where that came from. And I could not deny that my spirit was hurting from that experience, even though I didn't remember it with my own human brain.
Right.
Because it was, I honestly, I look at the poem, I'm like, how did I not figure this out when I wrote it?
Right.
How did I not
see it?
It's right there. But, lost my train of thought again.
No, that's okay. You're just talking about coming to that point where you wrote the truth, you wrote the story as it happened.
Yes.
And how then, in putting that in print and seeing these copies of the book go out and seeing them downloaded, what's your prayer? What's your hope?
My hope is that, at first, like I said, I needed to get the story out, and I needed to deal with it. And
for you.
For me.
Yeah.
That's how I've always dealt with things. I write them down, and I get them out on paper, and I pour over them and deal with it. And most of the time I didn't understand what I was dealing with. But then, as I was moving forward, I needed my close friends and family to understand what I went through and what that was like, and how they helped me through it. And a lot of them are in the book by different names, and everything in that book is based on something real. Even though some of it is fictionalized or symbolized in a different event, it's based on something real. And so you can see a lot of my support is in that book. And I needed a way to convey that to people that are close to me. But as the book has gone out, and it was available for download before it was available in print, and I've started getting messages from people that I don't even know telling me how much my story has helped them,
Mm-hmm.
how much they loved it, how much they, I know somebody that really needs to hear this, and the perspectives that people have gotten, it makes my 19 years of depression so much more valuable, so much more worth it, if I can help bring somebody else out of that.
Yes.
And I believe no two individuals are the same. Our journeys are all different. They intermingle sometimes. But the solution is always the same.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, we talked a little bit during our little break about again, the fact that we're being ambiguous because we don't want to give us too many spoilers on the story. But the fact that, I mean, the depression that you felt is, while the reason you felt it is unique to you, as most people's depression is, the symptoms are so common. They're very similar to what I went through. They're similar to what most people I talk to.
Right, and I did not think that while I was in it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was the only one. I thought everybody else has something that I don't have, and I want it, and why can't I just decide to be that way?
Right.
If I want to be outgoing and I want to let people in, then just do it.
Yeah.
But because I didn't understand what was happening or what I was feeling, I couldn't put words to it. I couldn't let people in. I couldn't share my feelings, and that I was never going to find out that there's other people that struggle with that too.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably a lot of people out there that are struggling, maybe like I was, for whatever their reasons are. And it would have been very comforting for me to know that I wasn't alone, even though I felt so very alone.
Yes. Yeah. Those prisons, like we talked about last time, are very isolating. Yeah. So what? And I think I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna let you say it. What was the thing that brought you out of that depression?
The truth. It was
pure and simple.
I mean,
yeah.
by the grace of God, the truth, because He put a lot of things into motion from the very beginning
Mm-hmm.
that we had records of and could go back and look and connect the dots and figure out the truth.
Yeah.
And that the truth will set you free. I think there's a lot of people that try and protect their loved ones from something bad that happened by keeping it from them.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a lot of sense logically, but spiritually and emotionally, that's what hurt me, was not understanding why I felt the way that I felt. I could not grieve my pain because I didn't know what was causing it.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I had our stories and our symptoms and everything. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of similarities there. We came at that freedom from two different directions. You had to be given the truth. I had to be given permission to share the truth. I had to feel safe and secure enough to share that truth, but the result was the same. As soon as we felt, as soon as the truth was in the air, and there weren't those walls between us, then the depression began to lift. And I think you mentioned earlier, it's a day by day still. You still feel that freedom more and more and more. But at the same time, there was a weight off the shoulders.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that those, my wounds have healed,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still sensitive, and they're always going to be, there's always things that put me back into that fear or that depression,
Mm-hmm.
and or bring it up again, but you can work through it because you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You can fix it. You can work on it. You can give it to God. You can talk about it.
Yeah.
If you don't have words for it, then
And I know even
stuck.
in my journey as recently as this weekend, and feeling some triggers that brought on some trauma response, and finally I was starting in the past several months starting to feel, when those responses came, there wasn't a fear for myself. There wasn't a fear. I knew who I was. I knew I was safe. I knew I was secure. And that fear started to translate into a fear for people who still aren't. And I think that's one of the amazing things that your story is going to do, is give permission to people who may have been holding on to those secrets out of fear of hurting someone that they love, to let that journey happen, and let those people experience the freedom that they need in that truth. Good. Okay, that's going to wrap up part 2. Did you have something else?
I think so.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I thought I
we
cut
didn't
you off.
talk about the cover of the book yet, though.
We did not talk about the cover. Let's do that real quick. Okay, so this is an actual picture.
This is an actual photograph. I had envisioned, creating some kind of artwork that looked exactly like this.
Okay.
And because I didn't think it was possible to capture a picture of it.
Sure.
There's a lightning, and if you look really closely, there's actually 2 rainbows. This is a double rainbow.
Oh, I see that.
And I was on my way home from work, and I'm seeing this double rainbow and the lightning still happening, and that is so rare, because normally by the time the storm is over is when the rainbow comes.
Yeah.
And it was what I wanted for my book, was the storm and the rainbow at the same time. And I called my brother up, who's a photographer, and said, go outside and get this on camera. And he captured it. He captured it very well. And the other element to this photograph is the fact that he took the photo right outside my bedroom window, my childhood bedroom window. So when I look out the window, this is exactly what I would see when I was struggling with the depression. And that was just a God thing, because I hadn't intended for that to happen. But that's that's where he lives now, and so that's where he was when this happened. And I think a lot of people miss that second rainbow there, and most people probably think that it's photoshopped in, but that is an actual moment.
Nothing, that lightning and rainbow are happening at the same time. That's an incredible testimony to really. It's a great exclamation point on the whole story.
Yes.
To be honest, so great. Okay, well, we are out of time for part 2. Coming back for parts 3 and 4, and we're going to wrap this up. Thanks again for taking the time to be with me.
You're welcome.
And that will wrap up part 2 of episode 2 of B.O.A.T. Talks on Sophia's Sojourn. Don't forget to come back next week, where we will have part 3, and I get to ask Brila 3 questions that I'm asking every single guest that comes on B.O.A.T. Talks this season. Also, don't forget to check out Brila's book on Amazon.com or anywhere that you buy your electronic media. You can also order it, a hard copy that you actually flip through the pages and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out the My Book tab on SophiaSojourn.com, where you can find a link to pre-order a copy of my book, and help me get it published by doing that. Next week, part 3 of episode 2. I look forward to seeing you. Have a great week.